If this flops, I'm going to cry. Hello everyone, it's me, Demented Ghastly here, and I have starred on this Let's Fix It, What If, rewrite for All Stars. Yeah, that's right, all of it. All of them combined into one. Now, I wrote this a little bit ago with a bunch of notes for myself, blah 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 blah. But anyway, here's the cast. If you got it right, you earned a cookie. So as you can see, for the Heroes team, we have Cameron, Zoe, Mike, Lindsay, Sam, Courtney, Lashana, Cody, Brick, Owen, DJ, and then for Villainous Vultures, we have Alejandro, Lightning, Duncan, Heather, Gwen, Joe, Scott, Sierra, Harold, Anne Maria, and Izzy. So, if you're wondering, this is 26 episode season of Total Drama, which means that I had to create my own challenges, which follow the All-Stars format that they were supposed to follow anyway, of combining challenges together from past seasons. And so I hopefully did enough of that, along with creating some new ones of my own. I used a little bit of ChatGPT for this just to help give myself some ideas, but for the most part, this is mostly me. Characters I considered were Justin and Bridget, as Bridget is in all the seasons up until All-Stars, and Justin is a villain. So yeah, but I decided Bridget, I wouldn't have much to do with her in this season. And then for Justin, I decide I'm going to not put him in because I don't feel like he'd be able to do much, and he would just kind of be there. Plus, you know, we have some better people for the villains team, and we have Anne Maria, who is our DEI hire of the Total Drama All-Stars cast, as in we needed another Revenge of the Island person. I'm just kidding. That's not how DEI works, guys. It's not how DEI works. Stop. Anyway, so as you can see, we have Not Considered. I'm gonna quickly go through these for you. Noah, not considered because he had 2 seasons and didn't do too well in either of them. Blanley is Blanley. We have Katie and Sadie, who didn't do too well in the 1 season they were in. Tyler did not do so well. Only had 2 seasons. Beth did great, but she's not exactly an all-star. I'm gonna be real. She's pretty forgettable. Next we had Trent. I think we all know why. Next we have Jeff. He only participated in 2 seasons. Or his 3rd one was in Redonkulous Race. And besides, we literally have Noah and Jeff in Redonkulous Race, which means they don't have to be in another season. Next we have Stacy. I think we know why she's not in there. Dakota Zoid would probably be a hard person to fit in. B was eliminated too early, and Dawn was eliminated too early. Eva was also eliminated too early and only had 1 season to her name. Now, these are the characters who I thought people would complain about not being in, and these are the characters that I think all people would probably complain about me not putting in. So, I thought I'd get out my reasoning in the first place. So, I have planned this from the start. I am the true villain. Let's get this over with. So, let's start out with Ezekiel. Now you may be wondering, why is he in Heroes vs. Villains Part 1 and it's not with the other teams? Ezekiel has been slightly healed. So we're going to have Chris mentions he took Zeke to a doctor due to complaints from fans, and so Ezekiel has started a rehabilitation process. However, Chris still boots him out as a joke. Don't worry, fellow Ezekiel fans, there is more to come. Just you wait. So that is Heroes vs. Villains Part 1. Hold on. So, For Heroes vs. Villains Part 1 is going to be mostly a interaction-based episode, kind of like the first episode of Toll Drama Island, and also a little bit of the first episode of Toll Drama Action. It's going to be completely about character interactions, and we can get some of that we got in the first episode of Toll Drama Island. Next, we have Heroes vs. Villains Part 2, in which we have the challenge that we originally had. Lindsay does not mess up as much, which we all guess that, she eliminated herself. However, that is not going to happen here, and the person who is going to be doing it in her place is going to be DJ. Now, all you DJ fans out there, do you really want to see him in this season? I don't care. Look me in the eyes and tell me that you want to see DJ suffer for an entire season. Look me in the eyes. Tell me you want to see him suffer. You are not a DJ fan then. You are just asking for him to be a pain magnet. So thank you very much. Now that I've guilt-tripped my own audience. Please don't flop this video. Please don't flop. So I created new episodes, challenges, arcs, stuff like that. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Ezekiel also has limited speech. At this point, he's not all animal sounds. So I want to get that out of the way. So next we have Evil Dread. Okay, let me just pull up the Toll Drama Wiki real quick. All Stars. There we go. So in Evil Dread, we have the same types of jokes. We have pretty much all the same stuff. Oh yeah, and we do have Alejandro burst out of the machine, same as normal. It's going to be in episode 2 though, so which means that we're not going to really get any Heather and Alejandro interactions in the first episode, so I do apologize for that. But we're going to get rid of Lightning here. Now, Lightning has used up most of his comedy potential. There's no way that I will ever give this character any sort of arc, because let's be real, that'd just be ruining his character. Lightning doesn't need an arc, okay? He doesn't. And if I try to, I don't think I'd be able to think up one. Other than maybe him feeling like he doesn't need to appease his dad anymore. So, let's be real here, he doesn't need one, okay? So, we have 3 people out already. Next, we move on to one that... all the yellow episodes are ones that I named, or I came up with challenges for, and all this sort of stuff. So, this one is a dodgeball episode called Aim of Thrones. I know, I'm really proud of my names that I came up with for these. I'm really proud of them. So yeah, it is Aim of Thrones. And it is a dodgeball episode. So, we're going to have the losing team be the heroic hamsters. And the person we're going to get rid of is going to be Sam. Now you may be wondering, why Sam? Sam is a buffer here. Sam doesn't need an arc. He already had his arc. Which means that we can easily get him out in Aim of Thrones, while also contributing to that 26 episode season and having an amazing thing. Now, it is just a dodgeball challenge, which is why I don't think I really need to do anything else for it, but there's a lot that we're going to have that is sort of 2 episode based, you know? So the next one we have is Saving Private Leechball. So, for Saving Private Leechball, we are not going to have anyone get voted out, but we are going to have the heroic hamster, or we're gonna have the villainous vultures lose this one. Now, naturally, Joe was originally supposed to get out in this episode. However, what we're going to be having is a team swap here, where we switch Courtney and Duncan. Same as canon. But this time, someone doesn't get eliminated. This is one of the non-elimination episodes. Next one we have is Food Fright, where Owen gets out for doing the same thing that Sam did in the original. So, now you may be wondering, hop for the best. So this is Hope for the Best, or Hop for the Best, which is apparently a German... Hop or the Best is... Hop is a German word, because this is a German slap dance over the action tar pit. Oh, Demented Ghastly, you sick dog, you. I know, I'm so evil. Oh, darling, you have no idea. So anyway, the person who we're going to get out here is going to be Anne-Maria. Anne-Maria doesn't need an arc, she's fine as is, and for the Anne-Maria fans, you had tons of moments of her flirting with Vito. Oh yeah, and we're gonna have Mal come out and Hop for the Best. For the first time, show a little bit of that, then we're going to have him come out in Mood Madness, making it a little bit weird. However, in Mood Madness, we're gonna have a non-elimination, and Cameron is going to be put on the Villainous Vultures. Why? Because Chris thinks it would be funny, even though he's putting heroic hamsters at more of a risk. Also, Sierra isn't obsessing over Cameron as Cody is there. However, her arc stands to be more of being independent, and Cody is showing off his skills. That's mostly his arc. The other arcs, as you can see, is Sam's going to make tons of friends, Lightning is not going to do anything, DJ's going to get the frick out of there, and Owen is going to be a gluttonous beast while also getting along with people like Zoe. And Brick. And Sam, for that matter. And Sam. And especially Cameron, because Cameron finds his dumbness and bigness to be kind of the opposite of him, and he thinks that's awesome. So, for Moon Madness, like I said, we switch up. Next we have The One Prize is Real. If you get it, that as a reference to The One Piece is Real. So, I'm also pretty happy about that one. Thank you. I know, I'm awesome. So for this one, it's going to be boat warfare, like in Revenge of the Island. However, we're going to be using not the birds, okay? We're not going to be using the birds. We're going to be using paintball guns like in Total Drama Island. Thank you. So, The One Prize is Real, someone is going to be eliminated. And the person who is going to be eliminated here is going to be Sierra. Sierra can't shoot Cody and ends up getting eliminated here in The One Prize is Real. Cody goes off to see her go because Sierra is a better person now, and she's kind of chilled out a lot. I don't want to say kinda, she chilled out a lot, okay? Between seasons. She and Cody are on good terms, which is why he goes to see her off. her arc has happened mostly off screen, but she does get some advice from Harold about not trying too hard, which is ironic coming from Harold. And also gets some random advice from Joe that somehow works, but doesn't make sense. Okay, so next we have no one expects the Spanish Inquisition. No one expects the Spanish opposition. In this, we are going to have Alejandro plan a coup against Heather instead of Heather finding the immunity idol. Actually, hold on. Scratch that. We're gonna make it so that Alejandro finds the immunity idol. Heather doesn't. And we show him going like, oh, I see. You know, looking over something, smiling evilly. And then Heather gets eliminated because everyone else voted for Alejandro because he purposely did really bad at the challenge and reminded people like Harold about everything that happened. Obviously, Harold's not getting bullied by Duncan anymore, which means that Scott has to do a little bit of bullying, but however, Harold is kind of taking Cameron under his wing, showing him the ropes of how to be cool, and nerdy, and how nerdiness is actually mad skills. Nerdiness is your superpower, that sort of thing. So, next we have Slippery Slope. For Slippery Slope, which is a common phrase, so we have... Hold on. Okay. So we have Slippery Slope, which is skiing down a hill full of obstacles, then reaching the finish line, which is Toll Drama World Tour. So Toll Drama World Tour reference. However, there is things coming up out of the ground. We're going to have the team that loses here be once again the villainous vultures. And the person they get rid of is Joe. As she decides to act like a team leader, she's been bickering with Heather for a while, and now that Heather is gone, she doesn't really have an arc that we need to put in place. So we're going to be getting rid of her in Slippery Slope due to the fact that she was incredibly rude to most of the people around her. And then we have Suckers Punched, where everyone will face their fears, you square off against old enemies, that sort of thing. And the team that we're going to have win this is going to be... the Heroic Hamsters. However, Duncan, at this point, wants to prove that he is cool. So, he blows up the building within Suckers Punched, and we don't need any more Duncan time, which lets us have some more Courtney and Gwen interactions as they have started to kind of like each other again over the course of time. Because we have now had all these episodes to do that. The next episode we have is You Gotta Be Kidding. Or Spain without the S, sorry. For Spain without the S, it has getting tortured for points for your team, which is pretty much an old TDI challenge. The person that they decide to eliminate here is going to be Cody, as he hasn't done too well for the past couple challenges. However, you know, We're fine with him. We're fine with him. He's good. We're good. We're good here. We've had enough Cody time. We've had enough Cody episodes. We're going to just get rid of him here. Everybody's still friendly about it, though, except for Mal, I guess, who laughs at Cody's pain, and Zoe's like, dude, what the heck is wrong with you? Because in this one, we're going to have Zoe be more observant and start to figure out a little bit earlier that something is kind of wrong with Mike, but Mal is also going to play it off a little bit better, so we're not going to have too much of a problem, you know? Next we have Mike and Bikes, which is a reference to Mike and Ike's, which is a candy, if I'm not mistaken. Build a bike from scraps found in the scrap piles. First group to get all their team over wins. This is a TDI and TDO. This is Island and Revenge of the Island reference. So, the character we're gonna get out here is Izzy as... Well, it's Izzy. Do you really think that her team isn't going to find her crazy at some point when she stops, you know, being good at challenges? Besides, Cameron's going to be really good in this challenge. However, the heroic hamsters are gonna band together and be able to win this one with the secret help of Cameron. However, no one sees him do it. Mal convinces him to let them cheat. Okay, now we have made it to Merge, where we have our heroes and our villains. Okay, next episode we have Zeke and Ye Shall Find. Okay, actually, hold on. We need to get You Gotta Be Kidding Me. First episode of Merge, the person we're going to be getting rid of is... Lashana. Why? Because she's too much of a threat, and Alejandro knows it. So, she figures out a way to get rid of Lashana by teaming up with random people on the team, telling lies, spreading rumors. I'll let him do the talking there. I'm not gonna try to figure it out for myself, but all I know is that if we don't eliminate her due to something like this, she's never gonna eliminate because she's winning all the challenges, baby. She is a god tier gamer. Now, we have made it to Zeke and Ye Shall Find, where Ezekiel has kidnapped Chris. Okay, let me take a look at this. Let me take a look at my notes real quick. Oh yeah, and it's kind of too late to do anything about the love triangle. That's why we're going to keep it kind of in there. So Ezekiel technically kidnaps Chris. And convinces him, as he's still got speaking, that he'll let Chris go if Chris agrees to keep him in the game. Or let him rejoin the game, I should say. Ezekiel eventually lets Chris down. And Chris has sworn on multiple things. And so when they get there, everything's fine. However, Mike, or should I say Mal, lets Cameron fall, eliminating him here. Next we have Izzy Does It, where Izzy... Hold on, let me just find what I said. So it is the TDA answer questions and treasure hunt while Izzy hunts you down. So it is combined world tour with total drama action because you have to find riddles and stuff like that. But at the same time, you still got someone chasing you. For You Gotta Be Kidding Me, the person who wins this one will be Alejandro. For Zeke and You Shall Find, nobody really wins except for technically Ezekiel. And for Izzy Does It, the person that we're going to have win... Oh yeah, and technically this isn't the 100th episode, but Chris says it is. The players correct him, or Harold corrects him, and he's like, oh, dang it, I'm gonna fire those interns. But, we're going to have Lindsay and Ezekiel kind of have a little bond. Like I always say, Lindsay and Ezekiel, they do got that bond, though. So, as you can see, we have Izzy Does It. Izzy tries to kidnap them. She knows who Mal is, which means that he needs to try to win it. So he wins it by beating her up. The person they decide to eliminate here is... Gwen. They eliminate Gwen because they feel like she is more mentally in the game than Courtney. And they feel like she's been doing pretty well in the past couple challenges, other than, you know, Zeke and You Shall Find. So they get rid of her here. They also create some drama between Courtney and Gwen, but they got over it by the end of the episode. So we've made it to Truth or Scare. For Truth or Scare, it's a truth or dare where contestants need to do fear-based challenges or tell something horrible. Truth or Laser Shark and is combined between Truth or Laser Shark and Total Drama Island Phobia Factor. Truth or Scare, as you can tell. And the funniest thing about this entire episode, where everybody has to suffer, and I mean like everybody. Everybody has to suffer in this episode. You wanna know the worst part? It's a non-elimination episode, baby. That's right. That's right, baby. I am the most evil total drama creator. Bow down before me. Nah, I win, guys. So Gwen's arc is getting back with Courtney. Lesbians? I'm sorry. Getting back together with Courtney. That doesn't sound better. Gwen's becoming friends with Courtney again. Lashana doesn't really have as much of an arc, as she is more of a character who's good for some straight man situations. We're going to have Cameron be mostly used as a tool for Mal. And so for Here's Hatchet, Here's Hatchet is a reference to Here's Johnny. Find keys for the go-kart. Don't get caught by Chef as he hunts you down. This is entirely Revenge of the Island based. And the person that we're going to get rid of here is... Well, it was going to be Ezekiel. But after how Lindsay has been treated by the host, after everything that he has done, after all the suffering she's endured through all these challenges, Lindsay has had enough. She has had enough. Lindsay calls Chris a meanie and a bossy jerk. And knows that Chris is going to be angry because she was bringing in a lot of viewers to the show, after Owen left especially. Lindsay eliminates herself for Zeke because she feels bad for him, and she also mentions she wants to leave due to all these things that she has endured, and she's just tired of competing on Total Drama. She wants to hang out with Beth and the rest of her friends, and she's tired of things getting between friends. So she eliminates herself, crosses out her own face, and goes down the flesh of shame, thus giving her a sweet moment between her and Ezekiel, where he says he'll win it for her, and she says she doesn't need the money, and she says win it for him. Now we've moved on to the obstacle course. We're going to have the same thing with Alejandro knowing about the thing. Mal's best hits, tries to expose him. Mal doesn't let that happen and gets him eliminated. Next we have Revenge of the Balloons, which I didn't really have any pun. I don't know. I didn't really have a pun for it. So for this one, we have must race across the lake while dodging water balloon guns from eliminated contestants. Mal is having a lot of trouble right about now, because Cameron has very good aim. However, he isn't exactly in the right physical condition, let's say, to be able to tell anybody what or who Mal is. Alejandro is also too far away in order to tell Zoe, though he tries to get across to her. Zoe at this point is very suspicious, as she has seen Mal do many weird things. The person who is eliminated here is Brick MacArthur. Scott and Courtney have been having a blossoming romance for a good portion of the season, and we're not gonna mess it up like they did in Muddy Sunday. We're not gonna mess it up this time, and I do believe that these two could have a really good relationship, especially the way they act, and the way that their types are. So, as you can see here, we get rid of Brick in Revenge of the Balloons. Courtney and Scott team up to get rid of Brick, and Courtney convinces Harold, even though Harold ends up feeling bad about it afterwards. Or actually, let's say that Scott tries to go farm boy to farm boy with Ezekiel in order to get rid of Brick here. We've got enough Brick content to last for days, that's for sure. And though I don't think he was going to win this, I feel like he was a surefire contender, which means that we still have a surefire contender group here. Next we have Grill or Be Grilled, which is a reference to Kill or Be Killed. So we have cook-off for chef using ingredients found around the island. If he likes it, you're good. Scott does not excel at this. The person who does excel at this is, surprisingly, Harold, which means that we have to get rid of someone here. And the person they decide to get rid of okay, hold on, actually. I feel like the person who should win this is probably Zoe. We need some Zoe plot armor. We get rid of Harold here. Besides, Courtney doesn't really like Harold. Ezekiel likes Harold because he's an outsider like him, but Harold did act mean to him in World Tour. And Scott likes to bully Harold, so they get rid of him here. One, two, three, four, five. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're good. So, the next one we have is Sunday Muddy Sunday, in which the person that we get rid of next is going to be Scott. As it is a tie between Courtney and Scott, or it's a tie between Zoe and Scott that Mal has orchestrated. However, Ezekiel overhears Scott talk about how Ezekiel is an idiot, and remember, Ezekiel is highly intelligent. So no more. And in this one, we finally get rid of Ezekiel. And it's time to duel, with the final placement of 4th place. He leaves, points out Mike, speaks and says thank you in 8 different languages before he is flushed. So no, Lindsay's sacrifice was not completely in vain. Ezekiel did make it farther than he ever would, and he did manage to make some friends along the way. So, we make it to the Bold and the Bootyful. Zoe definitely knows about Mike at this point, because we're going to say that Mal has been very good about keeping it away from Zoe this entire season, but she definitely knows about him between Grill or Be Grilled, Sunday Muddy Sunday. She's definitely starting to notice that Time to Duel, this is when she definitely knows about it. And so we have the Bold and the Bootyful. Hold on. In which we have Courtney absolutely dominate the challenge, and Zoe decides, she says to herself, well, you know, I made a promise to Mike, but this ain't Mike. This is not Mike, dude. This is not my Mike. So, she eliminates Mike here. However, we get in a bonus scene, Mike finally takes back over Mal, and we'll see him in the finale as well, getting over it. So now we've made it to the final reckoning, where we have a Courtney versus Zoe finale, which is hero of this season, former villain, versus hero of this season, hero of another season, who should have won her own season. So I think this is a great final two. The helpers for each are going to be, Courtney is going to get Scott and Gwen. And no, we're not going to do the balloons thing. The balloon thing is not going to happen. We're not going to do that. Are you stupid? Come on, come on. Why would I do that? That was a horrible plot line. Come on, dude. And Zoe gets Mike and Cameron. But we're going to add in some more, because there are some people put in to help stop them, which is going to be Lindsay and Ezekiel, Heather and Alejandro, because Chris starts to get a little bit annoyed that, like, they're playing completely fair, and so he puts in some people to try to ruin it, and he's like, well, I'll give you a little bit of money. The island does not sink, but Chris does say this is the final time that he thinks they'll be going to the island. For a while, anyway. Now let's go over the final arcs. We obviously saw Ezekiel's arc. Hopefully he'll be able to get the medical help he needs. Plus, Courtney's a lawyer, and she whispers to Zeke at the end, hey, I know the fans kind of got you some of the treatment, but I happen to know some very good lawyers if you're willing to pay part of the money you get from Chris. And Ezekiel nods enthusiastically. So yeah, they're gonna have to deal with that. Gwen and Courtney obviously have makeup. Courtney and Scott have a good relationship. Mike got over his DID. He didn't exactly get over it, but he got over Mal, past trauma. I don't want to completely scrap the Mal plotline because, let's be real, it would change All-Stars completely, and I'm not really here to change the entire thing to the point of, like, making sure that this is a whole new season, you know? Harold had his own plot lines, I'm sure I've mentioned them. Brick was honorable, showed his honor, showed that he is strong, he is fast, he is good, and he's got a good heart. He helps others when they're down. Lindsay showed she has a good heart and that she's smarter than the rest of them. Heather and Alejandro have a spicy relationship around the end. And I think that is it, gamers. That is it. Make sure to like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, that way you can see whenever I upload. But make sure to share this around. I could really use the help. The algorithm doesn't really like me, and especially as a Toll Drama VTuber, I am the only one in my niche, and I could always use the help. So if you end up watching this, you know, feel free to share it. Make sure to go outside, compliment someone's hair, and make the world a little bit of a better place.